Wesley Dodd, was that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Sandman I know best. Oh yeah. I can talk about Mystery Theater. Okay.
Hold on, let me stop because I thought you were ready, but you weren't.
No, this is a great opening. This is called a cold opening, and it's fine. Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of The Longbox Guys. With me, as always, is some of my very best friends since I was a very little kid. Mike, how you doing? And what the hell were you just chugging?
I'm doing fine, and I am drinking one of the hard ciders from Tennessee Cider Company. This time it's a watermelon.
Ooh,
Christ,
watermelon
Mikey,
cider.
how many of those did you buy?
Fucking seriously, dude.
Josh needs to make beer. I need to
Sure.
give him bottles to make the beer. I'm just a giver.
You are a giver. You're a good friend. Speaking of Josh and beer, Josh, how you doing? And what beer are you drinking? And is that your Iron Fist glass?
It is my Iron Fist glass. Thank you very much.
Nice.
I am drinking a banana IPA from Treehouse, which I was pretty hesitant about trying. It's the first time. It's fucking weird.
Is it like a banana kaboom?
No, it's like it's not banana flavored. It's like banana aftertaste. It's
I
not
like bananas.
I mean, I like bananas, but this is not a thing. I mean, I'm gonna drink it. Don't get me wrong. I paid like $7 for this beer. I'm gonna fucking drink it.
I've only seen you send back one beer, and you wouldn't even take the money back. You were just lesson learned. Can't remember the beer, but it was just lesson learned.
Yeah.
Tommy, how you doing? And what are you drinking?
I'm doing okay. I'm drinking a new scotch today. I'm drinking a Duncan Taylor 12-year-old blend that I got at the good friends at Total Wine.
I like Total Wine. That's like my happy place. If I'm getting raped in prison, I'm pretending I'm at Total Wine some more.
Yeah.
And you're like, can I try that one? Can I try that one now? I should not try that one because I got to drive home from here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the language doesn't really translate well into what's going on around me, but still, I do it. I'm drinking a delicious Thompson's Water Seal Scotch, $10 for 2 gallons, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It makes you sleepy as if the Sandman's coming. Speaking of the Sandman, today we're going to be talking about one of the many iterations of people who have used the iteration of the name the Sandman. Building up to the new series that's coming on, that is out on television, we're going to first talk about the first Sandman, Wesley. Well, maybe not the first Sandman in comic book lore, Wesley Dodd. And to give us a little bit of that background is our good friend Michael Manning. You handsome devil, take it away.
All right. Well, back in 1939, the World's Fair was going on, and DC Comics, then called National Comics, was like, hey, we got to publish a comic. We're going to put Superman in it. We're going to put Slam Bradley in it. We're going to put Zatara in it, all the big names. And they decided to create a new character for it, the Sandman. Gardner Fox was the writer, and the artist was Burt Christman. And their Sandman was Wesley Dodds, born in 1910, or the 1910s. I guess if you use the DC calendar from the 1970s, he was born in 1913. But anyway, his father dies in World War I, leaving him an orphan fairly early in his life because his mother also dies around the same time. And he is the heir to a steel fortune. He spends a lot of his life touring Asia and learning the mysteries of Asia. And for a while is a fighter pilot for the U.S. Navy. And then he decides to come back to New York City and to fight crime, as one does. And the impetus for that is Morpheus, the embodiment of dreams, is captured in the comic book realm and imprisoned, and the universe, trying to right itself, starts to hand out some of Morpheus's powers to other people. And Wesley gets prophetic visions of serial killers. And so he uses his knowledge of herbs and other things that he learned in the Orient and creates gases. Some are sleeping gases, some are true serums, and he uses those along with a gun that he invents and a gas mask to protect himself to become the Sandman. And he hunts down serial killers, capturing them and then leaving little notes of origami in a poem for the police when the police come and find the bad guys. He gets recruited by Dr. Fate to be a member of the Justice Society of America, one of the founding members, and later is recruited by Franklin Roosevelt to be one of the founding members of the All-Star Squadron. He is kind of a noir character. In fact, I'm sure we're going to be talking about some of our favorite series that the Sandman's in. But he's got the 1930s noir kind of flavor to him. In some different versions of the DC universe, Sandman is considered the first superhero of ever, and mainly because Superman has to age progressively, so they have to keep on changing who the first one was. He's also had a change. He had one of the coolest costumes, right? He had a green suit with the gas mask and a fedora, or was that a trilby, Tom?
I think that was a fedora.
It was a fedora.
So looked really cool. And then later in the 1940s, they realized, hey, he's not really a superhero because he doesn't have a garish costume or a sidekick. So he changes and puts on a horrible yellow and purple costume and gets a sidekick, Sandy Hawkins, who is the nephew of Diane Belmont. Diane Belmont was Sandman's partner without actually being his partner, I guess.
Yeah.
She's his love interest, but she also helps him. She's the daughter of the district attorney, so she gets information and gives it to the Sandman to help him solve his mysteries and keep him up on the latest crimes. She also serves as his getaway driver. And in one of the All-Star Squad or All-Star comics, the Justice Society is captured, and Diane takes on the personification of the Sandman in order to go rescue Wesley. So she's probably among the golden age superheroes, girlfriends. She's probably the most important to his character as a whole.
I give you that. The Spirit's girlfriend was fairly competent also.
Yes.
So when Matt Wagner kind of revamps the character in Sandman Mystery Theater, I would say that Diane Belmont really becomes partners with Sandman. I think they're kind of equals as they kind of go on. You know, initially it's a Sandman book, and then he meets Diane, and then they sort of develop a partnership where they're kind of on equal footing.
So
Yeah.
I don't really. Oh, sorry, go, Mike.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I concur with you, but even still in the early comics, she was definitely his partner. Even in the Golden Age, they depicted that. Matt Wagner was very faithful to the origin, but really improved it. It was one of the first Vertigo comics, and as such, it was a much darker version. I mean, the serial killers that he tracked down were indeed serial killers and pretty horrific.
Yeah.
And he's depicted in that series as being kind of a smaller dude than he is in the other comic books because, you know, he doesn't need to be big. He uses his brain and puts people to sleep with his gas gun.
Yeah, nobody would mistake him as a superhero. He was definitely kind of like this overweight, pudgy little guy that you would not expect to be a superhero at all. He was definitely using his brains.
And got beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot in that Sandman mystery comic. You'll see he takes a beating a lot. He kind of reminds me of The Question, like as far as superheroes who take a real pounding doing their job.
Almost like Matt Murdock.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he got shot in a couple of the comics and was like, oh, I guess I'm going to be on the sideline for a few months while I recover from this gunshot wound, which you don't see many heroes doing. Oh, I'll tough it out. Nope. I got shot. I got to
I'm
rest.
good.
No, I'm down. I'm down for a bit.
The one thing that is kind of a tarnish on the whole Golden Age Sandman is a horrible accident that goes wrong with Sandy Hawkins. He's trying to perfect a thing that turns sand into different substances, and there's an explosion, and Sandy becomes a silicon-based sand monster. And Wesley is able to knock him out, and then keeps him sedated in his basement to look for a cure, but doesn't bother to, I don't know, go talk to Dr. Fate, who
or
has
call anyone else in.
or call
I'll just keep
anyone else.
experimenting on Sandy until I
Yep.
figure this out. And it's not his first priority even. He's still got villains to capture.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad take on the character. That's the only time I think they really did disservice to the character. Otherwise, I think this is a phenomenal character. LT has already mentioned Sandman Mystery Theater, and I know, Tom, you've read that also, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like that pulp noir feeling. What year? Do you guys remember what year that was published?
I want to say it was like 95, 96, somewhere around there.
Maybe even earlier than that.
1996. He's pretty close. 96 on that one. And the one I'm thinking about, actually 95. I'm looking at issue number 44 is the one I was, because the Phantom is one of the ones I remember reading, where a character who does not like homosexual men is haunting the World's Fair and killing homosexual men. A fairly progressive comic book for the time. You know, Sandman comes in and tries to save the day, and a couple of people are like, who gives a shit? And yeah.
The Magic of the Internet has told me that it ran from 93 to 99.
Yeah, so 96 is the one that I remember. That's when I started reading a couple of those. And they were pretty good. I do like that noir look, that noir feel. I like noir. I always thought his mask was cool too. And I'm a sucker for the suit superhero.
So the mask thing, I get in the original Wesley Dodds version, right? He's using a gas that knocks people unconscious. Yeah. It makes sense. He's wearing a gas mask. And then we pull that through up until our modern times, and they stick with the gas mask, but lose the fedora, which never made sense to me.
And they don't upgrade the gas mask. We've made some improvements.
So when they lose the fedora when Sandy Hawkins takes over as the Sandman.
But the Sandman in our modern Gaiman, we'll talk about later, still has the gas mask as a representation. It just seems like I kind of get the lag of time between he's captured and modern times, where maybe it was still representative when he was first captured, but I don't know.
Like only douchebags wear fedoras now. I guess I get rid of this thing.
Yeah, it just seems like an odd choice. It still seems like an odd choice to me.
And once again, they do make better gas masks at this point. You don't have to wear the World War II trench mask.
It's true.
But it looked cool.
It look cool.
And LT, do you remember what he drove?
He drove in the Mystery Theater, he drove I want to say it was a Corridor Duesenberg.
It was 1938 Plymouth.
Oh.
Yeah, why would you say Duesenberg?
Because it was fancy. It looked fancy, but
Duesenbergs look crazy though.
Yeah.
Like crazy fancy.
Well, so's a Cord.
I guess you're not wrong.
So harkening back, I think we skipped over chronologically here before the Sandman, right? Just the mythology of the Sandman, right? Where you go to its Scandinavian lore, And the first time we really see this in print is by a guy named, I'm not going to remember his whole name, so I'm just going to look at it. It's Ernst Theodor Amadeus Hoffmann. Really puts it into the first popular story in 1816.
Oh,
where he
Ernst?
you remember Ernst, right?
Yeah. Big
That
guy.
son of a bitch. Curly hair. Yeah.
Still owes me $5.
Was really good at
with inflation,
backgammon.
Mike, that's like $1 million.
Yeah.
He actually writes a story where the Sandman it's a horror story. And the Sandman actually sprinkles his sand into children's eyes to turn them to stone, to feed them to his children who live on the moon. Which now, after reading that like summary, I'm like, fuck, I want to read that story. That sounds awful. And then in not that long later in the 1830s or 40s, Hans Christian Andersen writes the much more popular sort of Sandman one, where the other thing I didn't know was that the Sandman would sprinkle sand into the eyes of the good kids so they would have wonderful dreams. And the other kids at night, he would hold an umbrella over them to shield them from dreams, and they would have sleepless, terrible nights.
Mm.
I was like, oh, dark, Christian.
I
Dark.
like the first one better because now I'm picturing that original Sandman's wife. Are you going out? Yeah. Bring some sand and sprinkle it into the eyes of children and turn them to stone so you can feed them to our kids. What?
What?
I'll buy cereal. No! The doctor said Tim has to eat stone children.
Wait, Tom. Isn't this guy married to Bane?
He might be married to Bane. Bring some stone children. Hey.
They need the iron in their diet.
Well, that guy was from Pepperidge Farms.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they had iron in their diet? Pepperidge Farms. Remember?
Eyes don't go nowhere. Just sit there.
For those of you who wonder why we're all doing Bane, is because it was on our last podcast, which you can get if you go to our Patreon page, which is only $1 a month.
What?
I know, right? Same
$1?
price as a hand job in the Castro district back in the 1960s. Can't do much better than that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. And all right, but getting back to the Sandman. So again, Hans Christian Andersen, one of the, of course, earlier ones. How does he metamorph? I mean, do you know if that keeps going forward as a folktale, or do we skip right over to Wesley Dodds?
Oh, I mean, I think between 1840 and
There must be a
1930s
couple,
comics, yeah. I'm sure
I
there are
remember
more
in a couple of
stories that evoke
classical
the Sandman.
black and white cartoons and stuff, the Sandman would come and do his thing. So I'm
Yeah.
sure this character's been in a bunch of little things here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty popular in Northern European lore, right? And those two stories are probably the first what people would consider, and I'm using air quotes. Oh, people can't see us on YouTube. Hey, I'm using air quotes. Published stories, right? So there were both, other, verbal, the oral traditions that keep that stuff going. But for as far as like the first really imprint references for him, those are some of the earlier ones.
And then there's also Mr. Sandman, the 1954 song by the Chordettes.
Yeah. You can bring me a dream.
And make him the cutest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Name one other line, Mikey. Come on.
Mr. Sandman.
We did that.
Yeah, but it repeats.
Oh.
Tell him that his sleepless nights are over. That's the next one.
Okay.
After that. Speaking of the origins and stuff, I just want to put this one thing out there because I found this fascinating over the weekend. The trope the butler did it is older than the first reference to the butler killing anyone in fiction, which means we just haven't found that piece of fiction where it became so common that it becomes trope. I found that fascinating. I just wanted to throw that out there. And you guys don't think that's true? I think that's really interesting.
No, I read that somewhere recently.
Yeah, that was just kind of dug up by someone who said, they were tracing it back, and they actually found the reference to the trope before that, and they can't find the original. And I'm sure we're going to find it someday, but I really thought that was cool. That really captured me. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. back to the Sandman before we all go to sleep.
Sandman
'cause I
had
wonder
a
if-
butler, didn't he?
I don't know. Did he
I
do it?
remember Van Butler.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
something maybe non-literary that goes before that, though. Like maybe there were a bunch of murders that were actually tracked down that were the butler, and maybe it wasn't a literary device prior to that, right?
Maybe butlers were like, "Hey, I'll be a butler." Kill
Yeah,
this
I'm gonna fucking murder this motherfucker
butt
like a fuck.
asshole.
Yeah,
Or now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it just dates back to the French Revolution because the butlers really did do a lot of it.
they did do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have just helped this guy out with his thesis.
Yeah,
You're
figured
welcome.
out thesis guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're listening. Nah.
Yeah.
But back to Wesley Dodds. So there's some other, if you're looking for what Wesley Dodds series you should read, he had a long-running backup in Adventure Comics and also in Action Comics. He was also in the Justice Society of America, so you can check out the old All-Star comics. He did have a couple appearances in the JLA, JSA crossovers back in the 70s, but not a lot. He appears in the Justice Society of America when they relaunch it in the 2000s, but again, that's where they find out that he's been having his sidekick in prison, so it's not great. But if you want him other than the Mystery Theater, you should probably check out the few issues of Starman by James Robinson that Wesley Dodds appears in, because in that one, it's a new Starman. He's taken over for his dad, who was the Golden Age Starman, and Jack Knight is the new Starman, and he gets to go meet Wesley Dodds and Diane Belmont, and he's super excited about it, that he can't even speak, even though his dad was Starman and he's met all these famous superheroes. It's not Wesley Dodds who he's afraid to meet. It's Diane Belmont, because she has been a prolific writer and his favorite writer ever. So he's just stumped by that. But he and Wesley go on an adventure together to try to solve a murder in the building. Only the murder in the building, by the way.
I was going to say the only murder in the building.
Yeah, so it's I can't remember what issues. It's going to be in the 20s or so of the Starman series. So yeah, those are all our recommendations. Does anybody else have anything about the Golden Age Sandman?
Nothing coming to mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll take me over to the front of the long box. At the front of the long box, I've got Starman, the James Robinson series, because I have been reading this like crazy. And the first few issues are a little rough going. I'm not going to lie. The first 5 or 6 issues is a series arc on the Mist, who is Starman's major villain, and his son and daughter taking over the mantle from him. It's just not that great. But if you give it time, or just skip those first 6 issues or so, it gets really good, because they draw in all the other Starmans that they've had in those comics. It has one of the best Christmas issues in comics. And they delve into such, James Robinson loves the Golden Age. And so he pulls characters from the Golden Age and drops them in at different points. Solomon Grundy is one of the characters that, Michael Jack finds in the sewers, and rather than fighting him, is like, "Hey buddy, how's it going? Want to come home with me?" And Grundy takes that hero's journey from being known as the guy who killed Sylvester Pemberton, the Skyman, who was one of the inheritors of Starman's technology, to sacrificing his life to save Jack Knight and a few other characters in the comic. So there's just a bunch of great stories. I'm really enjoying it. It's the James Robinson Starman comic. I think it's volume 3 or 2 or 3 of Starman. He's the guy without the mullet.
That's the guy without the mullet. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know which one we're talking about.
LT, what do you got at the front of the long box?
I've got in the back of the long box, I've got what if Spider-Man had rescued Gwen Stacy? So what if number 24 back from, I believe, 1980? I don't know, because Amazon's such a shit show when you're reading on Comixology.
Jesus Christ.
But this is a story of the classic what if storylines. What if Spider-Man had saved Gwen Stacy instead of him failing? And in it, Spider-Man is fighting Hobgoblin, and instead of Gwen Stacy falling off that bridge and Spider-Man catching her with the webbing and still not saving her, instead he decides to actually dive down after her, breaks her fall using his own body in hitting the water, and resuscitates her using CPR, and then goes after the Hobgoblin later and saves Gwen Stacy. Then Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy get married, but unfortunately, Hobgoblin, even though he becomes cured later on, has sent off information to Spider-Man's greatest nemesis, J. Jonah Jameson, indicating proof that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And so on his wedding day, J. Jonah Jameson busts up his wedding with the cops to arrest Peter Parker. And it is a great what if comic book, as many of those classic what if comics were fantastic.
I gotta agree, a lot of those old what ifs were really good.
So
Yeah, I had that issue. I bought it at Gale's newsstand,
Ah,
and I was like, "Who the hell is Gwen Stacy?
yeah,
Why do I care if she's dead or not?"
yeah.
Actually, I think my dad might have bought that comic because it doesn't seem like a comic I would buy. But
But it was great.
Just to correct you, though, you kept on saying Hobgoblin. What you meant was Goblin.
Green
Green
Goblin.
Goblin.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Green Goblin.
See, I was going to say that because when you said his greatest nemesis, I thought you were talking about the Green Goblin. And arguably.
No. His greatest nemesis is definitely J. Jonah Jameson.
Poverty.
You think so?
Yeah, because
Might be
J. Jonah
poverty.
Jameson kept him in poverty. He kept being a pain in his ass when he was Spider-Man. And when he was Peter Parker, he kept him poor.
What are you talking about? J. Jonah Jameson paid him money for photos. I mean, he was just in high school. He gave him his first big break. How dare you, sir?
Honestly, I kind of like
He kept him down. He could have gotten more money for those Spider-Man picks.
He could have gone to another paper and tried to sell those, but he never did.
True.
I've always kind of liked the one where everyone's. I remember this one great issue where Robbie is saying, why do you keep this kid around? J. Jonah Jameson was like, I kind of see something in the kid that I like. And it turns out that J. Jonah Jameson has never even really wanted Spider-Man to be his nemesis that much, but he wanted to make sure Peter Parker was eating. So he kept buying the fucking things and making up stories just to make sure Peter Parker had some money to spend. That's my alternative version of it, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure.
I like this.
Well, in this story, J. Jonah Jameson really hated Peter Parker because he busted.
It's a what if. It's different.
In this story,
it's a total tangent. But that's your purview there, Josh. You got a tangent for us?
Yeah, so I talked about earlier that story where the Sandman turns kids' eyes to stone and they're eaten on the moon. And I don't know if you remember a old horror director in the 70s, Dario Argento. He had like The Wizard of Gore.
Yeah.
Argento, he had some like really brutal
some of the meat first, grinder guy.
Yeah. And he almost had an adaptation of that story as a movie. And the Sandman was going to be played by Iggy Pop in the 70s. And I'm like, man, that should have been made.
Yeah.
So what's an early story or a novel or something that sort of just missed the boat for you and should now be made into a movie? Like now we got, I mean, they're making, Hollywood's clearly out of ideas anyway. So let's give them one more. What do we got?
From a
book. Hanging around out there that hasn't been made.
Easily, I would say Grover, there's a monster at the end of this movie.
Stop putting in the reels.
Why are you still watching this?
I'm going to build a wall. I would watch that. I would watch it still, but I would watch that.
And Tom Hanks plays Grover.
Okay. I can buy that.
Thieves Guild. We have the technology. We can make a good Dungeons and Dragons movie. The original Thieves Guild novels. I've always loved them. They were both like some of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons-esque books. Thieves. What did I say?
Guild.
You're right. Thieves World. Thank you
Thieves
very
World,
much.
yeah.
Thieves World. Tales of the Vulgar Unicorn. We'll go back to the first one. That was a great little anthology series about different thieves living in this world, and I think it's time we did it. It'd be fun, but all Muppets.
But all
Hi-ya!
Muppets.
And of course, the king of the thieves, Malik, is the narrator.
So I think there's a lot of Heinlein books that would translate well to a movie now that we have some decent CG technology.
Sure.
Maybe.
Why are you cringing, Tom?
Well, my favorite one is Number of the Beast. One of my favorite Heinleins is The Rolling Stones, which is like one of the first Heinlein ones I read, which is a very little known kind of middle-aged one. I mean, not middle-aged, young adult book. It's really good. Mike, did you read the Rolling Stones?
No, I'm not a fan of Heinlein.
Well, it's kind of a YA book where a family called the Stones are just making their way out in the universe and trying to make a living, eking out a living as space farmers. That might be a lot of fun to do. It might be a little too easy. And I was also immediately thinking Number of the Beast, which I like that Heinlein did. But that might be too hard to do, even with today's stuff. It's a good book, though.
See, I was thinking like Friday might make a good book.
They could do Friday. We got the tech for Friday.
Yeah, or To Sail Beyond Sunset or Time Enough for Love could be a good series. But
I still like that one. That's just me.
Stranger to Strange Lands never been done.
You're wrong. There's been a strange. Yeah, it's been done. It has been done well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has been done well.
Has been done.
Really?
All right, fine.
Strange Land's been on film? I don't think that's true.
Let's double check, but I believe there was a bad 1970s. Stranger should keep going, and I'll look it up.
Sure.
I can rock that.
Yeah.
So what about you, Josh?
Selfishly, I would like to see Elric on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would really like to see, or in that same vein, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser.
That was my second choice.
Either of those, I think we would, especially because, I think with like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, sort of these big set pieces and in fantasy worlds, just the fact that, clearly Fafhrd and Elric don't have sort of the built-in audiences that those two things have, but I would still.
They made The Witcher, and I got to say, it's probably not as big an audience as Elric.
Oh no, I totally disagree, Mike.
Oh really?
The Witcher was. The Witcher was huge in Europe,
Okay.
and both 1, 2, and 3 video games were tens of millions.
There's
of
no
titles
Elric
sold.
video game.
Yeah. Most people are probably, of our generation and fantasy folks who remember Elric is probably not numbered as much as the people who played Witcher 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I was wrong.
Speaking
it was
of,
never made into a movie, but it was commissioned a couple times and always fell through.
Have you watched season 2 of Mythic Quest yet, Josh?
I don't think I will ever watch any more of Mythic Quest. So do what you will.
Oh my God, the episode with C.W. Featherbottom's origin story, which is totally different from every other episode, is just amazing.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Fair enough. How many seasons is that thing now? Don't forget, I
2.
was not in on Community, and you did pull me into Community, but I watched probably. I definitely watched the requisite 3 episodes for Mythic Quest, and honestly, I just stared at the screen.
Did you get to the Nazis?
I don't remember.
The Nazis
You
were pretty
remember if
great.
you got to the Nazis.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you
just
would
stared at the
remember.
screen in bewilderment, like I do not find this entertaining whatsoever. Honestly,
I'm glad you liked Community, though.
I loved Community. I've rewatched Community all the way through. I've
Oof,
watched. I had
That's a
seen
lot of
Community twice.
episodes.
I have, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Part
Even
of
the
that was like
gas leak season.
right at the beginning of the pandemic, like when I could not leave my 16 by 16 cube. I was like, I'll fucking watch Community again.
Oh, that's right. You were exiled.
I was exiled and trapped. Yeah, there was nowhere to go and nothing to do, and I was like, fuck it, just watching this again. But yeah, no, I could not. I just couldn't get into Mythic Quest. Everything there like just upsets me from a technology and a gamer, and like I'm just like I just want to kill all these people. Just no one. Just want to murder them all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's got a Always Sunny in Philadelphia kind of vibe where like everybody in there is just self-obsessed.
Yeah.
Horrible to each other.
Didn't like that show either. Didn't watch it.
It's Always
I
Sunny in
think so.
Philadelphia is about to become the longest running live action sitcom in history.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Wow.
season.
It's been on a while.
Yeah.
Has anyone been watching Exit to Wrexham?
Watching what?
Welcome to Wrexham.
Welcome to Wrexham. I love this show.
I don't know what that is.
Ryan Reynolds and the guy from Welcome to Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They buy the soccer team.
Right.
It's
the documentary.
terrific.
Yeah.
It's a documentary television series, and
Yeah.
it's just fun to watch because they're aware that there's a very real possibility that they're going to be the assholes in this story. They're like, these people might hate us. We might not know what we're doing, and we might actually, be the bad guys here. We might be the dicks in this thing. We don't know yet.
It's the Ted Lasso reality show,
You made that joke last time too.
but it's true.
It's not true because it's not really true. I mean, it's not a bad analogy, but it's not true.
Kinda. I'm gonna have to go with LT on that one.
But it's
But
not true.
We're talking about stuff that we should probably discuss on the Geek League, which Tom has already mentioned. Go over to patreon.com/thelongbox, guys, and check out our Geek League. And all the money we make for the Geek League on our Patreon account does go to Elizabeth Peabody House, where they feed how many people last week, Tom?
100 and about. I think I got up to 105 last week. Not a record, but very close.
105
families.
families.
105 families,
Wow.
including Paula, who's still alive, and I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
Nay.
Yeah.
Paula has cancer, and she had COVID, long COVID, for a long time. She went into hospice. They turned her phone off. We mourned her, and then she came back. We love delivering food to Paula. She looks terrific, by the way. She got a lot of her hair back after COVID. She has a super cute comfort dog as her comfort animal, and he's super cute. His name is Roscoe, and he's like a king because we bring him chicken. And he's a great dog, and we're so happy that Paula's doing better. Like, we're over the moon.
Awesome.
Great.
Just saying.
Mhm.
Hey, I got a weird 3-day team. It's not really 3-day team, but it's in the venue. Go back in time with me for a second, guys.
Is something
We're
I
going
made
up.
from 318?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We're going to go to Mike's house. We're meeting there to play Dungeons and Dragons in about an hour. Okay? You got about an hour. You got about $5 on you. What are you picking up at Gale's for snacks? Or any place you can get on your bike to get the snacks. You got about $5.
I'm getting a Happy Valley pizza because it costs just about $5.
Back in the day, Happy Valley pizza cost $5.
It was about $5.
I don't remember Happy Valley pizza ever being $5, man. I didn't say you had about $5. We were kids. You had $5. If you think I think the Happy Valley pizza, the lowest I remember was like $7.99.
We were in high school. We had more than $5. We all had jobs. Well, Josh didn't because he was
wasn't in high
too
school.
young to work.
Yeah. I don't care. You have $5. What do you get? What do you
Going down to
bring
Gale?
for? What do you
I'm
bring for
getting that
snacks?
Happy Valley pizza because I can't get it anymore.
Fine.
Going down to Gale's, I'm getting a 2-liter bottle of Polar Orange.
Nice.
So that's going to be $1.50.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably going to grab some Funyuns for Jay, and then some corn chips for me.
All right. Josh, what are you bringing over?
I'm trying to think of like what my junk food kick was back then. I don't really remember.
There was one thing that you kind of liked bringing every once in a while. You didn't always do it. But if you had time to go down and get JoJo's.
JoJo's?
Yeah, the big fried potatoes.
I don't know what you're talking about. So
What was the, well, all right. So when you lived, there was like a supermarket near you that were like fried potato wedges.
I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe I'm high.
I think so.
All right.
So, yeah.
I remember you bringing them once. We all were like, man, those look really good. Deep fried potatoes.
I mean, I think fuck, what were the Hostess cakes that they look like hockey pucks, but they got chocolate all around?
Ding dong, yo, ding dong,
Ding
man,
dong,
ding
ding
dong,
dong,
ding
ding
dong,
dong.
man.
I love ding dogs. I love the peanut butter things that had the logs, the crispy ones.
Funny Bones. Oh no,
No,
the crispy ones are
No,
different.
Funny Bones were a cake.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about the Nutty Buddies?
Nutty Buddies.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
And if I was on my way to Mike's, I was on my bike, and just so I wouldn't have to buy them for everyone, just for me, I'd have an ice cream sandwich before I got there.
Selfish bastards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was.
we know.
Diabetes, here I come.
Not that I always had $5, but if I had $5, it would be Diet Coke and probably a liter bottle if they were at the liter bottle time. But there was a time there was no liter bottle. So it'd be like 2 cans and Devil Dog and a bag of chips. That was me.
Man, I miss
Yeah, but
those
that was
Happy
more-
Valley pizzas.
Shut up, Elsie. Every once in a while, we would get pizza too. We'd get pizza, but we'd go for Palmer House pizza.
Yeah, because you could walk to it.
Damn
Yeah.
right, we could watch it. We could sprint to it and sprint back. We were young. We hadn't had too many Happy Valley pizzas yet.
No, it wasn't Nutty Buddies. Fuck, Nutty
No?
Buddies were the crispy ones. They were
You're
the
right.
ones that had the peanut butter like all the way through.
Funny
they were,
And
Bones?
like,
chocolate
crunchy.
and a piece of
Funny
cracker.
Bones?
No, Funny Bones
Oh.
were cake.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. They're crispy.
They were like peanut butter bars. They had like a cookie on the bottom, a
Yeah.
log of peanut butter on top, and then they were wrapped in chocolate.
It was kind of like a Twix with peanut butter, but it wasn't a Twix because there was 2 to a pack, and they were
Yeah,
side
they
by
were
side.
bigger and crunchier. They came in like
Yeah.
Summit?
Rolos? No.
no.
Oh, Rolos. What are you, a monster? Shut up. Fucking moron. Fuck you. We hate you. Peanut butter gantries. I don't know.
So apparently,
Anyways.
So
hold on.
if you
Yeah.
know what the dessert we're talking about is, go ahead and tweet us at the Longbox, guys, and we will read your answer on the air, no matter if you're right or wrong. Or you can send us an email to luckybastard@thelongboxguys.com. Or you could just go over to our Patreon account and write something on our wall over there. Plenty of ways to get a hold of us. Or if you really want to get our attention, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating on however you're listening to this podcast.
Always good.
And we will be like, oh, what? We better
Who the hell
listen to
did
what this
that?
guy has to say. Because he's
Oh, I found it. Sorry.
What is it, Tom?
It's called Peanut Butter Crunch.
No,
Made by
that's-
Little. No, it's
That's
made by
the Little Debbie version. There's a Hostess version with a different name.
Oh, Peanut Butter Crunch Hostess. Okay.
So if you work for Hostess, this is the perfect
Yeah,
opportunity.
get in there. Yeah,
Get in there. Why hasn't this been relaunched?
called something else.
And while they obsess over this,
Oh, we're not
go
going
to,
anywhere.
let's go to plugs. LT, you got anything you'd like to plug?
I'd like to plug geekorthodox.com.
Geekorthodox.com.
GeekOrthodox.com, purveyor of fine stained glass prints and Johnny Skywalker rocks glasses and socks and sake sets. You name it, they got it. Unless it's a t-shirt. Because t-shirts they have over at IanLino.com. That's right, Ian Lino, Leino.com. IanLino.com for all your t-shirt needs and Geek Orthodox for everything else.
What was your favorite Ian and Tammy cosplay for Dragon Con this weekend?
I mean, they always do a fantastic job. I have to go with their Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah,
The
I
amount
think
of
that-
work. Tammy made that costume. She didn't buy that. She made that costume.
That's impressive.
And there's a lot of time and effort put into there. I saw it on the whatever those mannequins are where you can do your stitching work is, and I saw some of the time lapse of how that was coming together, and it came out fantastic. It was beautiful, absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, you can go over to Facebook.com and follow Ian Lino, or go to GeekOrthodox.com. Speaking of people we like, Kirby Crackle, they do all our geek rock music every week. You can check them out at KirbyCrackleMusic.com. And Josh, have you picked up my comics over at your comic book store?
I have not swung by to pick up your comics now.
Yeah.
The two you asked me for, I got.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, you're a good man, Charlie Brown.
I thought you just had stuff that was getting turned over there. I haven't picked up for your account.
Yeah, I just got the latest Tom King Riddler book. I think that's the one they pulled that came out this week.
And what's the name of that place, Josh?
Great Stories.
It's a terrible name. I mean, I like you guys, but Great Stories, Books, and Games. I don't know. It's too much.
Where's that located?
It's in Whitensville, Massachusetts.
Tom, you got anything to plug?
I was thinking about it. I got nothing. I'm drawing a blank.
Well, let's talk about
How about She-Hulk? I'm going to plug She-Hulk because I think they're getting everything right in this stupid TV show. Please go watch She-Hulk. I really enjoy it. It's making me so happy. Megan Thee Stallion was so good in it. And when they're dancing in her office, come on.
Fantastic.
And the shapeshifter was hilarious.
Shapeshifter was hilarious.
She was really funny. Anybody else got anything else?
Yeah, I'm good.
Then I will say thank you so much for listening to us. Mike, what's this podcast like to you?
It's like Drunk History, but for comics.
Josh, are you going anywhere? I guess we blew our load on things this year.
I might be at New York Comic Con.
Hey, that'll be fun. New York Comic Con. Is that your sector?
I hope so.
Are we ever going to see that T-shirt with playing poker? Come on.
I got all the art for it. I could just make the T-shirt. Yeah.
I want the T-shirt. Tommy, sweet Tommy, any words of wisdom for us?
I am so gonna get my shot now that the variant booster shots are out. I'm gonna go get my shot.
Yeah, have shots with the Longbox guys.
Shots. And don't forget what I always say, don't diss what you hate, just promote what you love. You will live longer, I promise you. Thank you from the Longbox guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
One other thing I want to say about the LARP over the weekend, I was going out of the field with just the 2 arrows and my 1 throwy, and this girl had this garbage bag looking quiver with
Tom,
like
40. Are you not able to turn off the recording?
I can't stop it. Somebody else has to stop it.
We can't stop it. You have to hang up.